Hello, everyone. I think I'm live. Okay, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is a Q&A session, and I'm going to start out just as I start out all of my videos and classes with a grounding to support us in arriving here in this moment together. I'll give some time for people to arrive also. Um, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to say a few things before we go to questions. But let's take a moment and we'll close our eyes and feel the power of your lower body anchoring towards the earth. And if you're experiencing so much intensity right now in the world, you're not alone. A lot of people are experiencing intensity right now. And one of the best ways that we can support ourselves is by having these reprieves of going inward and anchoring down and anchoring into what's true for us in this moment. So take some deep breaths here and follow your breath down towards your sit bones and your seat. And even if you know your body doesn't actually have lungs in your sit bones or your toes, imagine here in this moment or feel that these areas of your body also breathe. You're breathing your body. And we're going to breathe ourselves here into the present moment. Everything in the digital world moves so quickly that we'll just take a moment together to pause and stop and slow down and breathe your body into presence. And around your hips and your sit bones and around the low belly and low spine is the top of your grounding cord. And so we'll just feel the nice hug of the top of your grounding cord and then extend it down deep into the earth where it sprouts roots into the core. And sometimes when there's so much flying around and intensity and ungroundedness that happens, it kind of sometimes just automatically here at the surface of the earth, there's just a powerful indicator to ground more deeply into the earth. So imagine that as your roots are growing deep into the earth, that you're inviting them to go deeper, deeper towards the core of this beautiful earth, this planet that when we connect into the raw earth, feeds our energy body, gives us vital life force, and supports us in our nourishment, in our grounding. And so we'll allow the power of your grounding cord to securely connect you from your pelvic bowl, the sides of your hips, through your sit bones, deep into the earth, anchoring you here in this present moment. And then we'll lean back into a beautiful flow of divine grace, flow of light, while our feet are anchored. Maybe there's a heaviness in the lower body. That's good. That's grounding. And then we open to receive blessings, grace, divinity through the crown of our head, through our prayer channel. And allow that light to flow all the way down through the central channel, inviting you to be illuminant, tall, long in your spine, and that your soul sits up in your body, that your soul has powerful presence and can radiate your light down your arms and your legs, taking up more space in your body. May it shine beyond your physical skin, outward into your auric field. May it brighten the light all the way around you. I pray that our time today here is held in the highest of each of us and of the planet. I pray for a blessed and connected time in this Q&A, and that also it may serve you, or it may serve someone you love, someone who might benefit from information here. I give thanks for this opportunity. I pray that we have a blessed, connected time today. Thank you, God. So be it, and so it is. So welcome, everyone. Hello. Um, this is a time for you. We're going to post or tune in on some questions and check in. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. What I would like to say, first of all, as you're thinking, I have some questions here and some will come in on the chat. Um, First of all, I want to share that I am doing a retreat next weekend. It's the 20th and 21st. And I want to share about that retreat later. But I also want to tell you this, why I'm doing the retreat, because why I'm doing it is why we're all here in time and space right now. So I want to say something about that, which is that, you know, people are having empathic experiences of existence and of their existence because there is so much energy that we're managing in the world, and we are having oversensitizing experiences, and we are navigating a lot of trauma in the world, and that does impact people. A lot of people, they identify as empaths or not, you're a human being, you are a sentient being, you have a sentient body, and you feel things and you will feel things. And that is part of humanity right now. So a lot of people are having an empathic experience where they're feeling energy, and it might impact our human body and mind and psyche and everything on the levels of stress, on the levels of emotional overwhelm, and on physical, like meaning even endocrine system, sleeplessness, the body really needing to decompress and reprieve from what has been, pretty much a traumatic year for a lot of people. And then people are waking up and having mystical experiences. And those mystical experiences are, the heart calling and the experience of their intuition and understanding that there are bigger reasons as to why things might be happening, or they are having connection with the divine through spirit guides and angels and sort of divine higher self. And there's callings that are happening, callings to your gifts and to waking up in the world and showing up in the world. And so all of this is happening simultaneously for people, for many people. And if it's happening for you, you can certainly let me know in the chat if this is resonating for you. Um, and what we're called to right now is an alchemizing of these two experiences, the mystical experience of waking and the upper chakra work, and the the empathic experience of being a human being who ultimately is no longer confined or living in the constraints and confinements of structures that made us suppressed as human beings. So thank you, Julie. Good to know. Julie Maureen, great. Um, so what I would say here, what I want to tell you is that the empathic experience has so much to do with our lower chakras in our body and how we feel energy in the world. And our lower chakras are our chakras of humanity. How are we interacting and engaging in the world as a human being on a survival level, on a safety level, in our relationships with people, in our relationships with our own emotions, in the history that we've carried in our sentient body, intergenerationally, past life, this life, the energy that we've been carrying, and we're getting to a point where it's becoming activated, and we're becoming overly sensitized because our soul is no longer in agreement with how much of this traumatic energy or imprinted energy that we've been carrying, how much of it we can exist with anymore. And so it's rising, it's coming to the surface. And the empathic experience is that we are learning how to um, not just manage other people's energy, but how are we healing and clearing out our lower chakras and our body so that we are creating more presence and therefore stronger boundaries in the world? How are we becoming more grounded in who we are? Not escaping life, but how do we come from now empowerment? The mystical experience is similar in that in our mystical connection is oftentimes where our soul will gravitate to when the human experience is difficult. And sometimes we come into this world very awake up here, very awake in the third eye, in the crown chakra and the throat chakra, and some people come into the world that way. Mystical intuition often relates to the upper chakras. Empathic is lower chakras. And so sometimes if we've been raised in environments or we're navigating spaces where it's just the human experience is too difficult, and I'm holding so much in my lower body that it's easier to be up here and to open up spiritually and have all these insights and intuition and connect to the stars and all of these things. It's powerful, and we get beautiful insights and information and connection to higher self. And we need to ground that. We need to bring that lower into the body. And so the alchemizing of the empathic experience and the mystical experience is that we are learning how to heal and clear and process in our energy body, in our spiritual DNA, in our liver, in our kidneys, everywhere, in our chakras, what we hold on an emotional level that didn't get processed, what we hold on an energetic level, perhaps even what we hold psychologically, mentally, which isn't always just mental. It's also nervous system and what we've been imprinted with. We're healing these aspects in our body, and we're becoming more present and grounded. And so next week I'll tell you, we'll tell you later about my retreat next week, because we're going to be on a journey into deep healing around these aspects, the mystical side and the empathic side. They are powerful and they need to be alchemized in order for us to feel whole, especially as we're waking up more intuitively. Okay, so I am going to answer a couple of questions. There's question came in from Teresa. How do you differentiate between a fear thought and an intuitive hit? Okay, so first of all, what I would ask you to do is feel where that information is coming from. So feel where it is in your body. So if it's a fear thought, it sounds like it's up here. It sounds like it's mental. And our intuitive hits can be mental too. They can be up here in the mystical realm, in the upper chakra or psychic realm. And so, what's important to know is that our lower body connection helps us ground upper chakra intuition. That's important to know, is that we can get a lot of information up here, but we won't always be able to translate it without the presence of grounding and knowing and feeling into the heart and into the lower body as to what that information is. So a fear thought might actually also be intuition, and our fear are not a good sign. Intuitive hits that feel fear-based, because there is a bit of a wake up saying, our intuition is waking us up, our soul is saying, you got to pay attention here. So, how you can differentiate the two, though, because sometimes it can be hard. Is this my fear talking, or is this my intuition talking? Sometimes we have to walk the path and give it some breath, give it some space, into it, ground into your body, excuse me. Feel into your lower body, into the fear, and you can simply ask the fear, what do you need? What is this fear about? Ask it, is this real? Is this something that, is this my intuition? You can simply even ask your body, is this my fear or is this my intuition? The other part to think about is when we are grounding into our lower body, that you are also making sure you're not too far forward, because when we're too far forward in the front of our brain, we certainly can cut off our intuition. So it's important to be centered, and that means sometimes leaning back. So take 10 minutes to feel into your body around these two intuitive or these two pieces, the fear and the intuition, and feel where you feel it in your body. It might be that the intuitive hit connects lower in your body and has more embodiment around it, and therefore more ability to manifest into the world. So I hope that helps you. Um, Okay, so Tammy's asking, as I become more grounded and balanced, I can't seem to reconnect with my mediumship abilities. Is this part of the process of integration? Okay. Um, so the question in my mind is, how are you using mediumship? Because part of our authentic connection to ourselves and our the holistic aspect of our being is that mediumship is up here. It's upper chakra, and it's an aspect of our central channel. It's an aspect of our prayer channel and our connection to the divine. And so is connection to our higher self. Sometimes when it comes to spirit guides and angels, they will step in when when they know we need their help or when it's needed, and they will step out when we need to stew in our own pasta. I mean, when we need to not be dependent on them. meaning we need to not go outside of ourselves for answers. There is wisdom in our spirit guides and angels. They do not want a codependent relationship with us. The spirit guides and angels that are with God, with the divine, ultimately do not want that codependent relationship. They will back out, they will back away if they find that what is really needed is that we need to lean back into our own prayer channel, into our own connection with the divine, and that we need to connect to ourself, our higher self, our divine self, our heart, our inner child. When we've lost connection with the inner state, the inner self, and intuition in the body, then they will back away. And so sometimes we need to take that journey where it is, okay, I'm backing away from upper chakra work and I'm dropping more deeply into the body. And oh no, it feels like that aspect of my intuition is going away. And it's not. What ends up happening in the trajectory of our healing is that we will start to basically upper chakra work opens up and becomes more evolved and cleaner and clearer when we heal in the lower body. It just might mean that the lower chakras are where the attention is needed right now. And embodiment and grounding and healing is what's needed so that when there is connection to, the divine realm or spirit realm, if that's what you're working with, that the heart is part of the process, that you're leaning back and the heart opens and the backside of the heart opens, and that there's a full body um, integrated experience. So, again, we're coming back to integrating the mystic and the empath. I hope that helps. Donna's asking, do you need any experience to take this workshop next weekend? No, you do not. You are welcome to come. You will receive healing and information. So there are also going to be incredible assistants who are going to be there. So again, I'll go over this later, but the assistants will be supporting you along the way, and you can certainly ask them questions also if you are new and curious or have questions. Chakras and when you're having chronic health issues as an empath. You know what I would say about this? So I am steeped in more of the tantric lineage of yoga, and the mantra um, world is very vast, and there are different lineages within. And so my recommendation, you can do, there's mantras for the chakras. You can look them up. There's very popular ones that are Lam Vam Ram Yam Hum Om, going through the chakras. You can look those up. And I'll tell you that there's other aspects, there's other lineages, specifically in the tantric lineage, that says those are not the right time mantras. We're going to get duality and different paradoxical information, no matter what you look at. So what I would highly recommend, because there are people who are very steeped in mantra, and mantra to me is medicine, and it is a whole wisdom teaching in itself, and it's a whole philosophy. It's not a philosophy, but it really is its own wisdom teaching. And you can look at books, you can look at other teachers who specifically work with mantra around healing, because there are mantras. I just can't provide or give mantras here specifically for certain conditions in this type of format. But what I would recommend is there are, I would recommend looking up some resources and books on mantra. And I know very specifically, you can even go to the Shift Network. They have teachers who also teach mantras and different mantras for different ailments. So, yeah, I hope that helps. How not to take on others' energy and make yourself wrong So I love this phrase that Brene Brown uses, which is a vulnerability hangover. It's like when we assert our power and don't want to take it on, and then have a vulnerability hangover afterwards for having done that. That's a very sort of, when you're talking about making yourself wrong. I mean, that's the shame of um, being able to basically be able to have your own boundaries in that space, and at the same time, it sounds like um, sort of uncertainty around what that energy is that you're taking on. So here's what I would recommend, because there's twofold in the question. One part of the question is, how do you not take on others' energy? The second part of the question is, how do you not make yourself wrong when you bump up against weird energy directed at you? So first of all, the shame is interesting, because the shame is pointing to the fact that there's something wrong with you if somebody, if weird energy comes in your direction, if someone projects their own energy, that in itself is an inner exploration of of essentially over responsibility. How have I spent my life, or periods and time periods of my life, taking responsibility for other people's energy and emotions, and kind of made myself wrong for it, or took it on and yeah, essentially made myself wrong for that energy. So, first of all, it's important to recognize this. People project their energy everywhere. We all do it. You've done it. I've done it. We do it. Human beings do it, and we don't intend to do it or hurt people, but energy does project outward. At the same time, we all have inner wounds inside ourselves that get triggered by other people's energy. Sometimes someone doesn't intend to project their energy, but we have a vulnerability or hurt or wound or old, family injury that, this person said this and it just pushed a button of how my mother used to talk to me, how my father used to talk to me, or how I was made to feel when, somebody said this kind of thing to me. So, what's important to recognize is that if you're sitting with a feeling of shame, that being made bad and wrong for taking on the energy, then there is something in you that's getting triggered. That's your personal work. I have to go inward and explore what is getting triggered in me. Why am I made to feel bad and wrong? How old is that in my system? How can I love myself in this moment, or breathe into that and give myself what my inner child might need in that moment, and give time and space to that experience. The second part is, how do we not take on their energy? If we are walking concave in the world, if we're walking protecting unprocessed wounds, if we're walking vulnerable in the world, there isn't enough radiance of presence and power to support those boundaries in the world. Yes, we can put a big bubble of light all the way around us, and that's protective. That will help to a degree. But then there comes the presence. Then there comes holding your empowerment and being able to, radiate from your central channel. And that part takes the inner work. That's the healing work that's needed for us to hold our. Yeah, next week again, I'm going to be offering this retreat. Well, what is it that's creating the blockage in the body that's not allowing the empathic boundaries to be clear here in our system? So you can energetically give people back their energy. If it feels like it got in, take your hands, take the energy, push it back out. I'm giving this energy back to you. I'm clearing my field. I'm giving it back to you. And again, as we alchemize the empathic experience and the mystical experience, part of that is learning self-healing. So more on that later when we get to the when I explain the retreat. Okay, so let's see questions. Um, yeah, as parents, how can we support, guide, and protect our sensitive children? So, um, part of it is, and I say this too, I thought many people know I have a small child also. So I can tell you how I work with it is that some of it is understanding whether or not your child is innately an upper body intuitive or a lower body intuitive. Are they the emotional, empathic type child who is soaking up and merging their bodies and kind of the type of child who might someone gets hurt and they physically run their bodies over to wrap around somebody, um, or are they more of the upper body intuitives with bright ideas, high visionary sets, high intellect, very smart, or are they both? And they could very well be both. So one of the ways is to understand again, we're going to go into this next week, but it's understanding the difference between the upper body and lower body intuitive. So a lower body intuitive child, or even when they are um, acting, and I want to say acting out, but exemplifying that type of intuition, more the empathic, they might need to understand their emotions. They might need to understand boundaries. They might need to be taught boundaries energetically and responsibility of energy, meaning a parent, the adult or adults, there might be multiple in the situation in the village, says, that's my energy. You let that be mommy's. You let that be daddy's. You don't have to take care of me in that way. You do this for you. Start to teach them their autonomy and their sense of self. If they're upper body intuitives, then grounding might be things that they need to do, working on relationships, working on interactions with people, pleases and thank yous, or let's practice writing thank you notes after we give gifts, or really helping that empathic connection when they're upper body intuitive children. And again, if they're overall both, then you'll just have to feel into what's needed. But what I do every night is I pray for my child, and I put light around her, and I ask her angels to protect her in her daily life. And I feel into in myself how much is her work to do in her life, and to go through in her life, and how much I can help her with. So sometimes I can do something that might make her path a little clearer, and sometimes that is helicoptering. It's not going to do it. It's not going to work. So sometimes she needs to go through her experience of the world and learn through other people in her social construct. So these are some examples of what you can work with as you're being in with others, or sorry, as you're working with children in the world, or in your life. Okay. um, so a question here. What are your thoughts on others' nonverbal negative energy due to hatred, jealousy, and manifesting as block? So, what I will tell you is how other people feel, and this is so important for empaths, for us to get deep within the core of our being. How other people feel is really none of our business. And I say that from heart. I don't say that from judgment. I say that from, if we allow ourselves, if I allowed myself to be taken down by every bit of criticism I take in by someone who comes up on the internet. We know how intense the internet can be, and people behind keyboards, like writing things and hurting people. If we were to allow ourselves to be taken down by judgment and criticism and jealousy, that's our stuff. That's actually not their stuff. So they have their, excuse me, let me say it differently. That we get taken down is our stuff. And it's a teaching in allowing ourselves to get very, very clear in who we are and why we are here on this planet. And when we get very clear inside ourselves on what our life mission is on this earth and what our footprint is, what our legacy is on this planet, then we start to shift who we're engaging with. We start to have immense compassion and understanding for people who might be jealous, who might be projecting. Jealousy means that there's not enough love that went around in the early years. So and so got more love than I did. I didn't get my deepest needs met, and other people did. And so that person who's experiencing jealousy is experiencing a deep loss of emotional nurturing that was needed. And so if we can sit in ourselves and say, well, I know why I'm here. I'm here because I'm here to emanate my heart. I'm here to show up in the world. I'm here to, embody my gifts, whatever it might be. Um, I'm here to be a good person, whatever it might be. If we align to that, then that field, that is our central channel. That field becomes bigger and brighter than someone else's criticism, someone else's judgment, or someone else's jealousy. It will just stay on the outside of the field as we become more integrated and more clear in what our mission is. Essentially, we stop turning to the negativity. We stop looking at it. We stop reading it. We stop engaging with it, and we allow people to be in their own experience, even if that experience is, their negativity or their jealousy out of some gap in their own growth, in their own development. I hope that helps. Um, okay, Julie says, I am a medium and was physically attacked and battered in early November. Since then, I've been experiencing widespread physical pain and seem to not be able to connect well for my own guidance, yet can still give amazing readings for others. I've worked on my chakras, forgiveness of family. I ground daily in multiple ways and do energy work, but I've yet to go through this. What are your thoughts and insights on this kind of situation? Does this fall into taking on the energy of someone else? Um, so here's what I would tell you. First of all, if you've so being attacked is a trauma. It's important that that gets processed in isolation. What I mean by that is that that incident is fully processed, meaning not just the other person's part, but your part in it and why there was a vulnerability for it happening, what brought it on, also, what was the other person's, what was the quality of energy, everything, the whole spectrum of what. Process that, heal it, overcome it, come to a powerful place to where it doesn't feel like this happened and, I'm not over it. If you still can think back and it feels like an ouch, you got to go back and heal it. You have to, because a trauma like that will continue to re-traumatize itself. And as believe me, as an intuitive, as an upper body and lower body intuitive, we can show up for others. Our high functioning self can do our work. We can be high functioning, and that's a survival technique. That's how we survived. That's how we survived the early childhood programming and existence as we stepped into high functioning. We stepped into hypervigilance. We knew how to manage and pay attention to everything going on around us so we could maneuver the life and we could show up and help people. It feels good to help people. And there will be a crash at some point. If it's not tended to, it will resurface, and it needs to be addressed. And so my recommendation is, love and thank the high functioning part of yourself that picks you up every day and keeps going and can do the work, because that is a real important part of you. And tend to the part that got hurt. Get some healing, work with a healer, clear that, what, however you want to work with that. Um, Certainly, absolutely, 100%. You can go my website, School of Intuitive Studies. We have healers who have been trained with me who are fantastic and can, if you don't have someone to work with, you could certainly work with one of our School of Intuitive Studies healers. It would be schoolofintuitivestudies.com, and then you can go to find a healer if you need somebody. But yes, absolutely, I would tend to it, so that it doesn't remain. Okay. um, I don't know, Lee. I don't know. You asked a question, how to discern the difference between wounds versus a curse, dark spell, or evil eye. Some of those aren't exactly in my languaging, but they are wounds. They are wounds include anything that occurs in this physical experience, anything that comes into this lifetime, anything that sits in the energetic body as an imprint in the body. Those are those are all wounds, and definitely aspects to work with. Um, Jessica, you're asking, does your new book cover working with children in the world? It doesn't, but the you're going to get a lot out of how it will. Like, it doesn't directly, but you're going to, by reading it, understand how we work with your own inner children, therefore how you might work with your own children. So not directly, but indirectly, to answer your question. Um, and let's see, are there any programs for children particularly? I don't know. I, yeah, I'm not sure. Eventually, I may put out a program on working with children, so we'll certainly keep you posted about that. And if you're not on my email list, that's where we get updated and everything that's new. Again, that's schoolofintuitivestudies.com. You can sign up and there for to receive, information. Sign up for the newsletter, and you'll receive a free course actually. So that, if you want, I can keep you posted. How to protect your dream space and astral, from George. So from astral travel. So essentially, so I believe that different lineages, there are different practices and lineages that might answer this question with different answers. Dream catchers are in, particular, philosophies, Native American and others. There are techniques such as allowing yourself to deeply ground before you go to sleep at night, be in gratitude in your heart. You can cleanse your body energetically with a shower of grace. You can also take a salt bath. The more grounding that you're able to do before you go to sleep at night is very, um, very supportive um, for the dream state. But I also want to say this is that vivid dreams and astral travel is a sign of upper body intuition. So that's an aspect of clairvoyance. And clairvoyance is is a power. And the power of it to help integrate more of it is going to mean more grounding chronically, meaning, again, more grounding in the lower body, more healing in the lower chakras, more integration inside ourselves that supports the dream state. The dreams also, and astral travel is also a way that our soul processes energy when we're not doing it on the human level. So if we're not emoting, or we're not allowing emotions to flow, or we're not healing, tending to the feelings that are happening, we will do it on the soul level through our dreams. So the more that, again, it's like, I wish I could say, do this at night, but do this during the day. As we do our daily work, it supports the sleep state, again, of grounding and tending to the lower body. So I hope that helps. Um, so I think just a couple more questions, and then, or maybe one more question here, and then I'm going to talk about the my retreat next week, which I would love for you to join. What are your thoughts on working with a pendulum to develop your trust and intuition, from Yvonne? So my response is, do what resonates for you. Some people resonate very much with the pendulum and dowsing, and some people don't at all. And in fact, sometimes the pendulum can be influenced by our emotional state. So sometimes getting to neutral is a little bit complicated for someone, or they're still figuring out, there's healing that needs to happen to get to a point of neutrality to be able to do it. Um, so my recommendation is, if it's serving you and it works for you, great. Um, I wouldn't allow it to be in place of developing more self-trust, though. Some people feel both at the same time. They get the yes in the body, and then they get the yes through the pendulum, for example. So I would say, try, if if the pendulum and dowsing is a tool of choice for you, practice in tandem with your own answers in your own body, grounding into your own body. Okay, so I would love to let you know that I talked in the beginning about why I'm offering this retreat next week, and on the 21st and 22nd, in it's a virtual retreat. And the reason is because I feel so deeply that there is the empathic experience and this powerful mystical experience of waking that's happening for us, and we're moving into new dimensions of consciousness, and we're sort of on the front the front of the arc of it, maybe not completely in the front, but changes are happening, we are evolving, so many systems are breaking down. We are transforming. We are becoming more true in who we're here to be. And that coincides with healing. And that coincides with, honestly, reparenting, like really understanding that the system that I was raised in worked for a particular period of time, and it makes sense, and it's and it and there are wounded parts of it that I'm learning how to heal and overcome and become more of myself. And sometimes we need a container to, as adults, to be seen in who we are now, as our full potential is manifesting. And I don't certainly mean to say the family system is wrong by any means. We absolutely even needed our negative beliefs. We needed them to survive. We needed to bond to them. And they weren't negative in the beginning. But when we start to grow and evolve and we feel the call, we start to realize, wow, what worked for me before is not where I'm going. It's not the belief system or the way of existing that's going to support me going forward. And so I'm offering this powerful retreat next week, where we're going to support you in understanding the intuition for an empath and the intuition for a mystic, and what they both need to be able to integrate and thrive, and also take you through a deep healing on both sides, both aspects of them, both the empath and the mystic, so that you can um, feel integrated, so that you can feel more whole inside yourself. Both mystics and empaths lead very active inner lives. And it's essential to keep your intuition strong, either by grounding or also by opening up. Sometimes the empathic experience is so empathic that we're not opened up on the mystical side, on the crown chakra, to receiving grace. And so again, it's balancing the two. For these two powers, grounding and opening up to feel whole is the profound next step for you. And you'll discover that when you're feeling disconnected, there isn't enough prana moving through the body to support the sense of safety and security, which is why, again, I'm creating this retreat to support you to clear energy blockages in your system so that you can connect more deeply to your intuition. So during this 2-day retreat, I'll tell you the time. It's going to be at it's going to be 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time, and on a Saturday and Sunday, and it's virtual. So all you'd need to do is come and arrive. I know some people feel that the virtual experience has just been a lot lately and would rather be on the beach. I would love to join you on the beach sometime. I'm with you. And what I can tell you is, in my experience with the retreats that I run and that we here at the school run, is that the power of the energy work is it's so palpable that it overshadows, it overpowers the Zoom experience or the internet experience. It really is such a profound, it's like the essence energy carries through very powerfully in these retreats. So I do encourage you to come. You will understand deeply more your intuitive gifts and abilities. You will understand how to feel more confident in your personal power and fully trust yourself. You will also experience empowering and in-depth language to help you discuss your gifts and abilities in more of a connected way for yourself. Sometimes we can't make sense of our inner experience, and that you have language around it can be very beneficial. Also, you'll receive how to manage the overwhelm or the out of balance experience that you might have with energy, whether that's psychic energy or human energy. You'll also be working with ways to connect to the power that wants to emerge through you. And that's the light within you that I'm supporting you with. So, and we'll also give you practical tools and allow you to, again, integrate the intuitive powers of upper and lower body intuition. So, what I'm offering right now, so that you can join this experience, is that it's discounted. It's at a special discounted price of $97 for the retreat, and it was originally 147. But if you sign up by March 14th at midnight, which is in 2 days, you can attend this event for $97. That's Sunday at midnight. And we're also going to have another integration call in addition. So there will actually be 3 calls that will come with this retreat, because I would love to hear what is happening for you once you've done the retreat, we've done the work, and a couple days have gone by. You need some time to sort of integrate and feel into it, having been through the experience. So we'll have an integration call as well. And so the link, which I'll tell you, is School of Intuitive Studies for there in the chat. That is that's the link. Um, and so again, you can go ahead and just click on the link and you can go ahead and register. If you can't attend live, it's okay. A lot of people will take the recordings, listen back later, do it in their own timing. So if you can't be there fully live, there will be recordings. You will be able to listen back. And I also want to tell you that we have wonderful assistants who have trained with me who are holding space. They keep the space energetically very clear, and they also support you in decompression and in sharing circles and being able to talk and discuss your experience through the deep guided meditations so that you're not hanging out on your own in your own experience. They are there to support you with questions. They will answer your questions in the chat also during a Q&A. So there's a lot of support and a container, a powerful container of support for you in this retreat. And so I hope to see you there. The first day is the gifts, distinctions, and healing required for the mystic and empath. And this and the second day we'll be covering integrating lower body intuition with upper body intuition to support you in wholeness. And again, both days are going to include powerful in-depth energy clearings. So all you need to do is show up and receive, and take notes if you'd like, but just relax, close your eyes and receive, and have an experience deep clearing work. Nay, I hope so. Um, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. If you can join, again, it's March 20th and 21st, and it'll be at 8 a.m. Pacific time both days. So thank you so much, everyone. The link is in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Many blessings.